Are you clear on what happiness truly means to you? Because most people live chasing a version of happiness that doesn't belong to them, happiness that depends on others. Someone who loves them, someone who values them, someone who completes them. But that is not happiness. That is dependence. And those who are emotionally dependent on others will never be truly free. Real happiness is not begged for. It is built. It is born from the deep understanding that you are already enough exactly as you are right now without needing anyone else to confirm it. Imagine waking up every day knowing your well-being doesn't depend on anyone but yourself. That's not a romantic fantasy. It's a reality you can construct. Today, I'll share with you 10 Stoic lessons that will teach you exactly how to do this, how to free yourself from the need for external approval, how to build a happiness that no one can take away from you, and how to become the one person you need most in your life, yourself. But before we begin, I want you to do one thing. Look in the comments and write, "My happiness depends only on me." That's not just a phrase, it's your commitment to stop looking outside for what you already have inside. Are you ready? Let's begin. Lesson 1. Being alone is a privilege, not a punishment. Loneliness has become one of the most feared conditions of our society. We treat it as proof that something is wrong with you, but that is a lie we've been sold. Being alone is not a punishment, it is a privilege. It's the purest opportunity to truly know yourself without filters, without the masks you wear to convince others, without the performances you put on to fit in. Just you, in your most authentic state, discovering who you really are beneath everyone else's expectations. Society taught you to fear the silence of your own company because it knows that's where your true power is found. When you're alone, no one can manipulate your self-image. No one can tell you what to feel, what to think, how to act. You are completely free. And that freedom terrifies those who've built their identity on the approval of others. That's why they run from moments of solitude, why they fill every second with noise, distractions, and company to avoid confronting themselves. But those who learn to enjoy their own company develop a strength that no one can touch. They no longer need an audience to feel valuable. They no longer need constant validation to know who they are. Their peace doesn't depend on someone else being available to give it to them. Being alone teaches you the difference between loneliness and abandonment. Abandonment is when others leave you and you feel empty. Solitude is when you choose to be with yourself and you find yourself complete. One is born of fear. The other is born of wisdom. Chosen solitude is an act of self-respect. It declares that your own company is valuable, that you don't need to fill every space with outside presence, and that you can find joy, reflection, and growth in the silence of your own space. We've been sold the idea that happiness requires witnesses, that beautiful moments don't count if no one else sees them, that joy is incomplete if it isn't validated by another. That is one of the subtlest traps of emotional dependence. When you condition your happiness on the presence of others, you place your well-being in the hands of forces you don't control. You declare that your own company isn't enough to create meaningful moments. But the truth is exactly the opposite. The deepest joy, peace, and fulfillment are often experienced in total intimacy with yourself, because there's no performance, no need to explain what you feel, no pressure to make the moment perfect for others. You simply are, and that is enough. Lesson 2. Free yourself from the nightmare of opinions. Few prisons are as suffocating as the constant need for approval. Many people live enslaved to the fear of what others will say, terrified of being judged, criticized, or rejected. And this fear silently dictates their choices, forcing them to live a life that is not their own. The Stoics were very clear. External opinions are not in your control. You can't manage what others think, whisper, or invent about you. What you can control is your response, whether you let those opinions shape you or whether you remain unshaken. Epictetus said, "If you wish to improve, Be content to be thought foolish and stupid. What did he mean by this? That the path to authenticity often requires being misunderstood. If you want to grow, you must be willing to let people misjudge you without rushing to justify yourself. The truth is this: people's opinions reveal more about them than about you. When someone criticizes you harshly, it reflects their worldview, their insecurities, their expectations, not your true worth. Think of it this way: if 10 different people judge you, you'll receive 10 completely different verdicts. Some will love you, some will hate you, some will remain indifferent. Which one is the truth? None, because none of them are you. Your value is not up for public vote. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "I have often wondered how it is that every man loves himself more than all the rest of men, yet sets less value on his own opinion of himself than on the opinion of others." In other words, you already know yourself better than anyone else, so why give more weight to the fleeting voices of strangers than to your own judgment? When you are trapped by opinions, you stop living. Every decision, what to wear, what to say, how to act, gets filtered through the question, what will they think of me? That's not freedom, that's slavery. The path to happiness requires breaking this chain. How? By practicing selective deafness. Listen to feedback when it helps you grow, but discard the rest as noise. Not every voice deserves entry into your mind. Here's a practice. The next time criticism comes your way, instead of reacting, ask yourself, is this useful for my growth, or is it just someone else projecting their fears onto me? If it's useful, take it with humility. If it's not, let it dissolve in the air. Remember this principle: opinions do not define me. My actions do. Because freedom begins the moment you stop needing everyone to agree with who you are. Lesson 3. Stop expecting others to make you happy. One of the greatest illusions of modern life is the belief that happiness comes from outside, that it will arrive in the form of a person, a relationship, or external circumstances finally falling into place. But that belief is not only false, it is dangerous, because it places your well-being in the hands of something you cannot control. The Stoics warned us of this. Seneca wrote, "He who depends on another for happiness makes himself the slave of fortune." In other words, if your peace depends on whether someone loves you, values you, or stays with you, you have handed over the keys to your inner life. Think about how most people live. They are happy if their partner pays attention to them. They are devastated if their partner ignores them. They feel valuable if they receive praise. They feel worthless if they don't. That is not happiness. It is emotional dependency. And dependency always leads to suffering, because nothing outside of you is permanent. The Stoic alternative is radical. Stop waiting for someone else to make you happy. Happiness is not something you receive, it's something you cultivate within yourself. This doesn't mean rejecting love, friendship, or connection. The Stoics valued human bonds, but they never confused affection with the foundation of happiness. Relationships are like sunlight. They can enrich your life, but they are not the sun itself. The sun, the true source of light, is already inside you. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." Notice what he didn't say, that happiness comes from another person, or from luck, or from possessions. He said it comes from your way of thinking. So what does this mean in practice? It means taking responsibility. If you feel unhappy, the solution is not to search desperately for someone to fix you. It's to work on yourself, to strengthen your character, to refine your thoughts, to build habits that make you proud of who you are. Imagine how liberating it is to wake up and know, my joy does not depend on anyone's mood today. My peace is mine, no matter how others behave. My worth is not up for negotiation. That's true independence. Here's a practice. Every time you catch yourself saying, "I'll be happy when," stop and reframe it. Instead, ask, what can I cultivate right now with what I have to feel at peace? The answer will always lead you back to yourself. Write this as a mantra. No one is responsible for my happiness but me, because the day you stop expecting others to make you happy is the day you finally begin to live free. Lesson 4. Reduce your desires, increase your peace. Most people believe happiness comes from adding more possessions, more experiences, more recognition. But the Stoics discovered the opposite. Happiness grows not when you add, but when you subtract. Seneca said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." This phrase captures the essence of true wealth. Poverty is not a lack of possessions, it is a lack of contentment. A person who desires endlessly is poor, even if they own everything. But a person who needs little is rich, even with modest means. The Stoics practiced voluntary simplicity, not because they despised life's comforts, but because they wanted to be free from dependence on them. They understood that the fewer desires you have, the fewer chains bind you. Think about it. If your happiness depends on always having the latest gadget, the fanciest vacation, or the constant approval of others, you will live in endless anxiety. Why? Because fortune can take away at any moment what it has given you. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "Very little is needed to make a happy life." He was the most powerful man in the world, emperor of Rome, surrounded by wealth and influence, yet he insisted that true joy is found in needing less, not more. Reducing desires doesn't mean renouncing all pleasures. It means learning to enjoy them without needing them. It means being able to say, "This is nice, but I am fine without it." That attitude makes you unshakable because nothing external becomes indispensable. Here's how you can practice this lesson. 1. Gratitude for what you already have. Each day, take note of the simple things that bring you peace: your health, your breath, the roof over your head. Gratitude reduces the hunger for more. 2. Question each desire. Before chasing something, ask, "Do I really need this? Or am I being manipulated into thinking I do?" 3. Practice small renunciations. Occasionally say no to comforts you could afford. Skip a luxury, fast from technology, live simply for a day. This builds resilience and proves to you that you don't need as much as you thought. The result of reducing desires is profound. You discover that peace doesn't come from satisfying every craving. It comes from silencing the cravings themselves. Write this as a principle. The less I need, the freer I am. Because happiness doesn't belong to the one who has the most. It belongs to the one who needs the least. Lesson 5. Value yourself above all approval. One of the most dangerous traps in life is placing your self-worth in the hands of others. If your sense of value depends on being accepted, praised, or loved, then you will always live at the mercy of people's moods and opinions. The Stoics taught that true self-respect comes from within. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." Think about that contradiction. You are the person who knows yourself best, your struggles, your intentions, your efforts. Yet you hand over the final judgment of your worth to people who barely know you, who see only fragments of you, and sometimes only through the filter of their own insecurities. That is a recipe for slavery. Valuing yourself above approval doesn't mean becoming arrogant or dismissing all feedback. It means recognizing that external validation is optional, not essential. Approval from others can be pleasant, but it is not the foundation of your worth. Seneca said, "The man who does not value himself cannot value anything or anyone." If you neglect your own dignity, if you treat yourself as less than you are, how can you expect others to treat you with respect? Here's the truth. The more you depend on approval, the less people respect you. Why? Because they sense your hunger, your weakness. But when you carry yourself with quiet confidence, when you no longer beg for validation, others naturally value you more. So how do you practice this? 1. Set your own standards. Instead of asking, Do they approve of me? Ask, am I living according to my values? Let your principles be your compass. 2. Acknowledge your efforts. Celebrate your discipline, your progress, your courage. Don't wait for someone else to clap for you. 3. Detach from praise and criticism. Take both with balance. Praise does not increase your value, and criticism does not diminish it. The goal is to reach this inner conviction. I am valuable because I exist, because I act with integrity, because I live according to reason, not because someone else notices. When you truly believe this, you stop chasing love, approval, or recognition. And paradoxically, that's when they come to you more often, because people respect those who respect themselves. Write this as your guiding principle. My value comes from within, not from applause. Because happiness is impossible if your worth is rented out to the opinions of others. Lesson 6. Don't confuse attachment with love. One of the greatest sources of suffering comes from confusing attachment with love. Many people believe they love when in reality they are simply afraid of losing what they depend on. Attachment says, I need you to be okay. Love says, I want you to be okay, even if I'm not by your side. See the difference? Attachment enslaves, love liberates. Attachment clings, love respects. Attachment feeds on fear, while love grows from freedom. The Stoics taught that true love does not arise from need, but from choice. Epictetus said, never say about anything, I have lost it, but rather, I have returned it. He meant that everything external, possessions, circumstances, even people, are not yours to own. You are allowed to enjoy them while they are present, but you must also accept their departure without falling apart. This sounds harsh at first, but it is the key to loving more deeply. Why? Because when you release the illusion of ownership, you stop trying to control others. You stop demanding that they act in a certain way to maintain your happiness. And only then can love become pure, free of chains. Think of a bird. If you try to cage it out of fear of losing it, you kill its essence. But if you let it fly freely and it chooses to return, that's love. Attachment wants possession. Love wants the other's freedom. Most heartbreaks come not from love itself, but from attachment, the belief that someone belongs to us and must complete us. But if you are already whole, you don't cling, you share, you don't demand, you offer. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, receive without pride, let go without attachment. That's the attitude that allows us to truly love, enjoying the presence of others deeply, but without chaining our soul to their permanence. Here's how to practice this lesson. 1. Replace need with gratitude. Instead of saying, I can't live without you, say, I am grateful to live this moment with you. 2. Accept impermanence. Everything external is temporary. Remind yourself that loss is not a tragedy, but a natural law of life. 3. Give without conditions. True love is not a transaction. It doesn't say, I'll give you this if you give me that. It says, I give because that is who I am. The result? You love more, not less. Because when you stop clinging out of fear, you finally open space for genuine connection, free of desperation. Write this as your standard. I choose love over attachment, freedom over possession. Because happiness doesn't come from holding on tightly, but from letting go wisely. Lesson 7. Happiness is not found in the future, but in the present. Most people live with their eyes fixed on the horizon. They say to themselves, I'll be happy when I have that job, when I buy that house, when I find the right partner, when things finally change. But here's the problem. When the future finally arrives, it quickly becomes the present, and those same people realize they're still not happy. Why? Because they've trained their mind to postpone joy, always pushing it one step further away. The Stoics understood that true happiness is not in the distant future, it is in the now. Marcus Aurelius wrote, confine yourself to the present. He meant that peace is found in this exact moment, not in fantasies of tomorrow or regrets of yesterday. Every time you postpone your happiness to a future event, you're declaring that your current life is not enough. You're rejecting the only time that actually exists, the present. Seneca warned, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." And one of the greatest wastes is spending your days waiting for life to begin instead of living it now. Think about it. Your life is happening in this very instant as you breathe, as you read these words. If you don't know how to find joy in this moment, no future achievement will change that. Does this mean you should stop planning for the future? Not at all. The Stoics planned carefully, but they didn't sacrifice the present for it. They worked toward tomorrow, but they lived fully today. Here's a practical exercise. Each morning, instead of asking, "What do I need to achieve to be happy?" ask, "What can I appreciate today that I already have?" Each evening reflect, "Did I live this day fully, or was I only waiting for the next one to start?" Happiness is not a distant prize to be chased. It's a state of mind you cultivate in the everyday moments. A good conversation, a breath of fresh air, the strength of your own resilience. The more you anchor yourself in the present, the freer you become from anxiety about the future and regrets about the past. And that freedom is the essence of Stoic joy. Write this truth as your reminder. My happiness is here, in this moment, not somewhere else, not someday later. Because when you finally learn to live in the present, you discover that what you've been chasing all along was already within your reach. Lesson 8. You are already complete. Stop seeking your other half. One of the most persistent and harmful myths we've been taught is that we are incomplete on our own, that we must find our other half in order to be whole. This idea has trapped countless people in dependency, desperation, and unhealthy relationships. The Stoics would have rejected this entirely. Why? Because you are not a fragment. You are already a complete being. You don't need another person to complete you. You need to recognize the fullness that already exists within you. Epictetus said, "If you want to be loved, love yourself first." The logic is simple. If you see yourself as incomplete, you'll approach others from a place of lack, always begging them to fill the emptiness. But if you recognize your own wholeness, then love becomes a free gift, not a desperate need. This is why so many relationships fail, not because of a lack of love, but because of a lack of self-sufficiency. Two incomplete people do not create completeness, they create dependence. Each one clings to the other, hoping to be fixed, and instead they amplify their weaknesses. True love, however, comes from two people who are already whole, choosing to share their fullness without demanding completion from each other. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "Look within. Within is the fountain of good, and it will ever bubble up if you will ever dig." Notice that he directs us inward, not outward. The fountain of goodness, of joy, of meaning, it's already inside you. You don't need to search for it in someone else. Here's how to practice this lesson. 1. Stop using others as mirrors. Don't wait for someone else to tell you you're valuable. Remind yourself daily through your actions and integrity. 2. Cultivate independence. Learn to enjoy time alone, make your own decisions, and create meaning without requiring company. 3. Redefine love. Love is not about finding someone to complete you. It's about sharing your life freely with another whole person. Imagine how liberating it is to realize you don't need to search for the missing piece because nothing is missing. You already have everything required to live with dignity, peace, and joy. Write this as a principle. I am not a half, I am whole. Because when you stop seeking someone to complete you, you finally approach relationships not from weakness, but from strength. And only then can you experience love in its purest form. Lesson 9. Happiness is built through discipline, not luck. Many people treat happiness as if it were a lottery prize, waiting for life to randomly hand it to them. They think, if I get lucky, if I meet the right person, if circumstances align, then I'll finally be happy. But the Stoics completely rejected this passive way of thinking. For them, happiness is not a matter of luck. It is the result of discipline. It's not about waiting for external conditions to improve. It's about cultivating inner strength, habits, and principles that guarantee peace of mind regardless of circumstances. Seneca wrote, "Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity." In other words, what most people call luck is nothing more than the fruit of discipline and readiness. If you live without self-control, if you let your emotions and impulses rule you, then even the best opportunities will slip through your fingers. But if you discipline your mind, you'll be able to turn even difficulties into victories. Discipline is the foundation of true freedom. Without it, you are a slave. Slave to your desires, your laziness, your fears, your addictions. With it, you gain mastery over yourself. And self-mastery is happiness. Think about it. The discipline to control your emotions prevents anger from ruining your peace. The discipline to manage your time prevents waste and regret. The discipline to live simply frees you from endless desires. The discipline to reflect daily sharpens your character. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself every morning, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, 'I am rising to do the work of a human being.'" Even as emperor, he needed to discipline himself against comfort and laziness. If he, with all his power, trained daily, why wouldn't we? Here's how to practice this lesson. 1. Start with small disciplines. Wake up when you say you will. Keep a promise you make to yourself. 2. Control one impulse daily. Resist a craving, pause before reacting, or stay calm when provoked. Each victory strengthens your will. 3. Live by principle, not mood. Don't let your feelings decide your actions. Let your values guide you instead. Happiness is not a gift from fortune. It is a structure you build, brick by brick, with daily choices of discipline. Write this as your reminder. My happiness is my responsibility, and discipline is the path. Because when you understand that happiness is not luck but practice, you stop waiting and you start building. Lesson 10. You need no one to be complete. You are enough. The final and most important lesson is this. You are already enough. You do not need someone else to validate you, to rescue you, or to make you whole. The moment you realize this, you step into the deepest form of freedom a human being can experience. Most people live believing they are incomplete, that their worth is conditional on having a partner, a family, friends, or social recognition. And so they beg, cling, and compromise their dignity just to avoid being alone. But that is not love, and it is not happiness. That is dependency. The Stoics rejected this illusion completely. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." And mastery begins when you stop giving others the power to define you. You are not half of a person waiting to be completed. You are a whole being, capable of building meaning, joy, and peace on your own. Relationships, when they come, should be additions to your fullness, not crutches for your emptiness. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Look well into yourself. There is a source of strength which will always spring up if you will always look. That source is within you, not in another person, not in circumstances, not in fortune, within you." This doesn't mean isolating yourself or rejecting connection. On the contrary, when you know you are enough, your relationships improve, because you no longer approach others with desperation, but with abundance. You don't say, "I need you to survive." You say, "I choose to share my already full life with you." That is real love, born not of weakness, but of strength. Here's a practice to seal this lesson. 1. Affirm your sufficiency daily. Each morning say, "I am whole, I am enough, my happiness depends on me." 2. Stop bargaining your dignity. Never beg for affection or sacrifice your values to be accepted. If someone cannot love you as you are, their presence is not a gift, but a burden. 3. Learn to celebrate solitude. Treat time alone not as punishment, but as proof of your independence. Write this as your final creed. I need no one to complete me. I am already whole. Because when you live with that conviction, no rejection can break you, no abandonment can destroy you, and no absence can leave you empty. You will have discovered the greatest Stoic freedom, happiness that depends only on yourself.